Good morning. I'm Ed Hartle. My pronouns are he, him, and you are very welcome here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Palo Alto. We gather, our different paths entwined, to deepen our spiritual lives, nourishing connection, learning from each other, caring for each other, tending to our world. Masks are not required but are strongly encouraged. We express our mutual respect by supporting each other's decisions about masking, distancing, and other health measures. If you're here in person and you have questions about Unitarian Universalism or this congregation, please stop by the welcome table with the blue tablecloth and chat with our membership engagement coordinator, John Wright. You can leave your contact information if you wish, and if you want to join the congregation, you can do that today. No second Sunday lunch today, but there will be a third Sunday lunch next week. Edie Keating writes that this will be our, quote, our official welcome lunch for sabbatical minister Reverend Peter Faraday, which guarantees cake and ice cream for dessert. So that's next week. Our Action Council is staffing a table on the patio today, so please stop by and visit them after the service to learn more or for information about volunteer opportunities and upcoming events. In particular, UUCPA is among the faith organizations that are organizing an interfaith welcome booth at this year's August Silicon Valley Pride Festival. With the rise of anti-LGBTQ+ hate, our presence at the festival is needed more than ever. To demonstrate our support, the Action Council has donated toward the cost of the interfaith booth, and UUCPA will be listed as an affirming congregation on a map in the booth. Volunteers are also needed to help staff the booth. Please consider signing up for a shift on August 26th or August 27th at the Action Council table on the patio. Or if you're on Zoom, you can sign up using the link in the online order of service. Our justice partner this month is California Interfaith Power and Light. I'd like to invite Gregory Stevens to tell us briefly about their work. Gregory?
Hello, my name is Gregory Stevens, and I use they and them pronouns. I work with California Interfaith Power and Light, and I'm the Northern California director. I'm very thankful to be here once again. I was here earlier this year as a justice partner, so we really appreciate the support that you guys offer. Our mission says what we do best. California Interfaith Power and Light inspires and mobilizes people of faith and conscience to take bold and just action on climate. We are building an interfaith movement for climate justice. One of the ways we're doing this is by creating green infrastructure in frontline, underserved communities of color. As you know, these communities are hit first and hardest by the negative effects of climate change, while also being the most under-resourced to respond to these problems. Because of the passage of historic federal climate investments last year and California's ongoing state-level programs, we've been busy helping congregations in environmental justice zones to get access to grants, rebates, and other financial opportunities to get access to EV cars and charging and battery and solar and all those goodies. Our offices are located in West Oakland, in the First Unitarian Church of Oakland, actually. There's this really cute little sign on the door that says, this church used to be Presbyterian, but the Presbyterians kicked out the minister because he didn't believe in hell. And so then the congregation went UU, and I was like, I love it. Where was I? So we made it our mission to reach out to as many congregations as we can in our immediate neighborhood because they're impacted so much by the port neighborhood there, being all the trucks coming in, the pollution. The asthma rates are insane. It's like 95% of asthma rates are caused from the pollution. So for example, one of the long-term member congregations is Taylor Memorial United Methodist Church, and they're a historic black congregation in the heart of West Oakland. We've applied for a federal grant to green their facilities and make it a model for transformation of 20 more houses of worship in Oakland. Ultimately, this means investing millions of dollars in the community to install solar, battery backup, electric heat pumps, and air filtration, and energy efficiency, and to create resilience hubs, safe spaces for the neighborhood when disaster does strike. If a wildfire fills the air with unbreathable air, or extreme heat coincides with power outages like they have previously, a local resiliency hub can save lives. One of the other projects we're working on is to uplift and share the incredible work of so many of our eco-conscious communities like your own. And so I actually use your community as an example all the time when I'm sharing what is possible, what other congregations can do. So this congregation serves as a model. The parking lot, the front lawn, the zero carbon plan, all of that is a model for other congregations. And to be able to see it, to show it, to prove that it's possible, to show the benefits of it, you could look at the power and the money coming in from that. So thank you for that. In closing, I want to share this quote. I found this quote by Howard Zinn, and I thought it was perfect. To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act, and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of a world in a different direction. And if we do act, in however small a way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents, and to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, and it's a marvelous victory. Thank you and amen.
Thank you so much, Gregory. Gregory will be here after the service at another table outside if you want to get more information about the great work that they're doing. And now, let us begin our service.
So we're going to begin by just drawing in some energy. Calling in the four directions, all the aspects of our lives. Spring and summer, fall and winter, air and water, earth and fire. Calling in the four directions, calling in the four directions, calling in the four directions. Breathing in the air, the morning light, nourishing the brightness of our minds, welcoming the wisdom of the East, the wisdom of our higher spirit, lighting the first candle for the first verse of our song, beginning of a circle that protects and makes us strong, calling in the four directions, calling in the four directions, calling in the four directions. Direction of the south, the summertime, twining of the blossom and the vine, energy that glows with love divine, kinship with the earthly creatures. Blessed be the passion and the soul that it inspires, kindling excitement as the spark ignites the fire, calling in the four directions, calling in the four directions, calling in the four directions. Wash away our guilt and any fear, honor the connection we make here, celebrate the blessing of the west, autumn and the flowing water. Flowing toward fulfillment, may we know the peace of rest. The colors of our feelings, like the sunset in the west, calling in the four directions, calling in the four directions. Knowing that we stand on sacred ground, cycles of our lives the earth goes round, spiraling from night to day to night, following our lifelong journey. Facing to the north, the sign of winter and of end. Trusting that the circle always spins around again and again, calling in the four directions, all the aspects of our lives. Spring and summer, fall and winter, air and water, earth and fire, calling in the four directions, calling in the four directions, calling in the four directions. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Good morning. I'm Reverend Peter Faraday. My pronouns are he, him, and it's very nice to be back with you for my second service as your sabbatical minister. I'll be here till the end of the year. I'll repeat what I said 2 weeks ago Sunday, which is that, especially with relatively infrequent interactions with most of you, please forgive me if I forget your name and have to ask again. It's not you, it's me. So appreciate that understanding. And since we're here together and it's everyone's arrived and now we've had some beautiful music to center us, let's take just a moment to breathe that in and be here now. Let all the mental chatter go. Maybe put your feet on the floor, center yourself in your chair. Relax your forehead. You might want to close your eyes just momentarily. Let your shoulders drop, your tummy soften. Take a couple of deep, centering breaths. Let any mental chatter subside. It's a beautiful day. We are here to enjoy it. As Howard Zinn reminded us, there is much good in the world. And as mindfulness practice advises us, let's be fully present to this moment. Welcome. Each Sunday, Unitarian Universalist congregations light a chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Our accompanying words this morning are adapted from reading number 434 in our Grace, Singing the Living Tradition hymnal. Sacred Spirit of our radically interconnected existence and our deeply intertwined lives, help us to remember here our highest aspirations. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but related in mystery and miracle to the universe, to the communion of all life, and to each other. In kindling our Unitarian Universalist chalice flame, we invoke and invite into this space the divine light of wisdom, the sacred fire of justice and compassion, and dedicate ourselves anew to bringing our fullest gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. Blessed be, and Amen.
With our centering words each week, we draw on the many sources of our living tradition. Today's words are from former UU author and minister Kenneth L. Patton. This house is for the ingathering of nature and human nature. It is a house of friendship, a haven in trouble, an open room for the encouragement of our struggle. It is a house of freedom, guarding the dignity and worth of every person. It offers a platform for the free voice, for declaring both in times of security and danger the full and undivided conflict of opinion. It is a house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to their quest, where mystics can abide in a community of searchers. It is a house of art, adorning its celebrations with melodies and handiworks. It is a house of prophecy, outrunning times past and times present in visions of growth and progress. This house is a cradle for our dreams, the workshop of our common endeavor. As we follow the sound of the bell into silence, let us allow ourselves to arrive here fully.
Good morning. I'd like to invite all those who are young or young at heart to come up and join me on the quilt. So we were talking about miracles and mysteries. Can we hear me? All right, there you go. And this is a story about quite a miraculous mystery. It is called the Big Umbrella. By the front door, there is an umbrella. There it is. It is big. It is a big, friendly umbrella. That's a pretty big umbrella right there. It likes to help. It likes to spread its arms wide. It loves to give shelter. It loves to gather people together. It doesn't matter if you are tall. That's a big duck. That's a tall duck. Or hairy. That's a hairy guy. Or plaid. Or it doesn't matter how many legs you have. How many legs does he have? 4, yeah. Some people worry that there won't be enough room under the big umbrella. Do you think there's going to be enough room? I guess we'll see. But the amazing thing is, there is. Look at that big umbrella. It's so big, it's almost to the sun. That is a big umbrella. There is always room under the big umbrella. We have all our friends. We have the hairy guy, the dog, an octopus. Everybody's under the umbrella. All right. Thank you for listening to my story today. Please rise now in body or spirit and join in singing number 188 in our gray hymnal. And then after that, my friends will follow me to Summer RE. It's number 188. Come, come, whoever you are.
So this is once again a round. I will sing it once, and then we'll sing it all together. And then let's see. Let's have this side go first this week, and this side come in where it says 2. That's okay. You can start. Stay. Come, come, wherever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Part 1, come, come, whoever you. Part 2. You didn't need to hear it once. First, you know it. Thank you.
We now turn our thoughts to the important events of our lives, which we visit. Which sometimes the sorrow weighing on our hearts is the result of our own actions or inactions. We are human. We strive and go astray. And then we can find joy in noticing these moments and with compassion for ourselves and others, gently lead ourselves back to how we want to be. In silent prayer or meditation, let us now recommit ourselves to this path as well as hold all we have heard today with compassion and care. Blessed be.
We all use labels to get around in the world. Some retailers are labeled restaurants, others hardware stores. The labels help us predict where to find a meal versus hammer and nails. We often use surprisingly little information to assign such labels. We glimpse what looks like a menu in a shop window and assume restaurant. This usually works pretty well, but can sometimes lead us astray. I'd like to offer two examples, one from my professional life before I retired from Stanford School of Education, and the other from my personal life from my own extended family. As a professor, I studied uses of test scores, looking for ways to promote good test uses and discourage bad ones. Both the good and the bad usually began with using tests to assign labels, like passing versus failing. On the basis of an hour or two spent making marks on pieces of paper, surprisingly little information really, some children were classified as English learners, others as English fluent. Some were labeled proficient or advanced in mathematics, others basic or below basic. Test scores from groups of children were used to label some teachers or schools satisfactory, others unsatisfactory. These labels often took on a life of their own. They sometimes drove decisions that went far beyond any legitimate test score interpretation. Something similar can happen with other kinds of labels. One of my sisters and her family are much more politically conservative than I am. I've heard occasional comments over the years from one of them or from some other family member, surprisingly little information really, that have led me to attach a label to them. I've built up a picture in my mind of their positions on issues that range far beyond whatever scant evidence I actually have. Now, it does indeed matter what people believe. Some beliefs are harmful and divisive. Much of my mental picture is probably accurate, and that really does matter. But at the same time, my labeling, putting this family into a category, needlessly divides us. I get a little anxious and become less open when I'm around them. I overlook evidence of their kindness, generosity, and other good qualities when it seems inconsistent with the story I've told myself. I neglect opportunities to learn about their other interests or to share things about myself that have nothing to do with religion or politics or ideology. I have another sister with whom I'm much closer. Her politics and mine are well aligned, and not only is she close to me, but over the years she has also remained close to the family whose politics diverge from ours. She shares good times with them, listens with an open heart, and forgives occasional hurtful remarks. When called for, she diplomatically dissents from their views, but refrains from unkind words. She sees our sibling and her family as individual people, not as members of any category. I aspire to do a better job of following her example. Thank you. My reflection was inspired by this reading by former UU religious educator Sophia Lyon-Faz, titled, "It Matters What We Believe." Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days with fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling ever growing with the upward thrust of life. Thank you. Please rise, embody your spirit in singing Be Ours a Religion, number 1058 in the Teal hymnal. The words are on screen and in the online order of service. Ruth will play and sing it through for us once, and then we'll all sing it together twice.
Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple, all space, its shrine, the good heart, its creed, all truth, its ritual works of love. Your turn. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple, all space, its shrine, a good heart, its creed, all truth, its ritual works of love. One more time. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple, all space, its shrine, a good heart, its creed, all truth, its ritual works of love.
I'd actually like you to remain standing if you are standing. If you're seated, that's okay. You can remain seated. Because I've thought this before we actually dive into our topic a little more fully today, I'd like to do a little moving meditation with you. And so if you are feeling okay, spread out just a touch, just a few inches is fine. And just watch me first for just one moment. It's just a simple Tai Chi-like exercise. And what we're going to do is put our palms up, facing upwards. And I guess you can just move with me this first time, and we'll take it from there. And taking a deep breath as we inhale, raising our arms toward the sky, stretching upward, inhaling deeply, and then turning palms down, and just exhaling and releasing a nice, slow, steady motion. Find a rhythm that works for your breath. In again. Rise up a little if you like. Turning palms down. And so the idea here is to pull in some energy from the earth, positive energy, and then to release anything that we don't want in our personal space as we drop and release. So up, inhaling positive energies, turning over, releasing anything we don't want. And I'll say some words along with us. So let's inhale full presence. And exhale any mental chatter. Inhale peace. Exhale agitation. Inhale energy. Exhale, lethargy. Inhale, gratitude. Exhale, cynicism. Inhale, trust. Exhale, doubt. Inhale, joyfulness. You might smile on this one a little bit. Exhale, pessimism. Last one, inhale, expansive, new, soulful adventures. Exhale, anything that no longer serves you or others. And then bringing our hands together over our hearts, just bring those positive energies together. Breathe with them a couple times. Grateful for each breath of life and the chance to share ours with others. And to close, we offer just a little bow of thanks for this shared moment of connection. Thank you. Please be seated. So there's this story of a person from a much more traditional faith background who happens to visit a Unitarian Universalist service one Sunday. Eventually the sermon begins, and as it progresses, the visitor grows increasingly dismayed at the unorthodox perspectives being offered. After the service, a UU member approaches and welcomes them and asks, "So how did you like it?" The visitor sputters rather indignantly, "Well, I can't believe half the things that minister said." A big grin fills the UU member's face, and they say, "Great, then you'll fit right in." I share this because over the next few months with you, I'm likely to probably offer some perspectives that may indeed challenge certain views, including today when I begin to question the completeness of the strictly rationalist framework of reality that most folks in our modern culture hold. And before I do, I also wanted to remind us that Unitarian Universalism expressly values what's called freedom of the pulpit. It was referred to briefly in our centering words, meaning that ministers are encouraged to openly offer their views for consideration. And I'll also remind us that in UUism, this goes both ways, meaning that listeners are just as free to receive what works for them and to let the rest go. Of course, this freedom of expression and belief differs markedly from the expectations in many faith traditions, as someone named Elaine Pagels learned in her youth. Ms. Pagels is a highly regarded historian of religion and a professor of religion at Princeton University. Early in her career, she received the National Book Award for a work called The Gnostic Gospels, a study of the more than 50 ancient religious texts discovered in Upper Egypt in 1945, a find that blew the roof off the scholarly understandings of early Christian theology and practice. Pagels later wrote a book focusing on one of these texts called Beyond Belief, The Secret Gospel of Thomas. In it, she tells this story. When I was 14 and had joined an evangelical Christian church, I found in the enthusiastic and committed gatherings and in John's gospel, which my fellow Christians treasured, what I then craved, the assurance of belonging to the right group, the true flock that alone belonged to God. Like many people, I regarded John as the most spiritual of the four Gospels, for in John, Jesus is not only a man, but a mysterious superhuman presence, and he tells his disciples to love one another. At the time, I did not dwell on disturbing undercurrents, that John alternates his assurance of God's gracious love for those who believe, with warnings that everyone who does not believe is condemned already to eternal death. Before long, however, I learned what inclusion cost. The leaders of the church I attended directed their charges not to associate with outsiders except to convert them. Then, after a close friend was killed in an automobile accident at the age of 16, my fellow evangelicals commiserated, but declared that since he was Jewish and not born again, he was eternally damned. Distressed and disagreeing with their interpretation and finding no room for discussion, I realized that I was no longer at home in their world and left that church. To me, Elaine Pagel's early and, as it turned out, formative experience is a perfect illustration of the opposing psychological poles of this parochial level of religious belief. Because scholars who study morality find that this or any type of highly structured belief system both binds and blinds. It binds people by creating communities with a shared viewpoint. And the more certain and exclusionary the viewpoint, the tighter the bond. But that same certainty also blinds members of such communities to the possible validity of other perspectives and to the harm their own viewpoint might inflict. In some cases, it even blinds them to the very humanity of those they consider different, as the ongoing legacy of religious violence demonstrates all too clearly. Yale professor of psychiatry Bruce Wexler talks about how this binding and blinding in his book, Brain and Culture. He explains how early in our life, our brains are highly malleable. So our inner world, including our developing belief system, is open to new input and can readily adjust to new data. But after young adulthood, our brains become less elastic, so many people unconsciously start trying to match their outer worlds to an increasingly inflexible inner one. One main way folks do this is to cluster with others who consistently confirm their views and interpretations of the world. Because when our inner beliefs and outer perceptions align, what Wexler terms consonance, we feel good, while its opposite, dissonance, engenders a doubt and anxiety. But this then limits people's exposure to experiences and openness to perspectives that don't already match their beliefs. When you add confirmation bias, in which people seize on data and arguments that support their beliefs and ignore or discredit conflicting evidence, the cycle of certainty becomes self-perpetuating, whether or not that certainty is justified. Let me repeat that, whether or not that certainty is justified. Elaine Pagels found such blinding among the evangelical church members who uniformly said their unsaved friend who was tragically killed was forever damned. This exemplifies a stance from our reading. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. And in her grief and her distress over her churchmate's conclusion and finding no room for discussion, young Elaine left in search of such wider and deeper sympathies. Countless others have had similarly painful experiences. Now, I recognize that a wide range of interpretations and expressions exist within long-standing religious traditions. And per Ed's reflection, I also realize that people are individuals and not simply members of any category. Yet at the same time, folks do belong to groups, and sometimes an affiliation is the main source of their identity. For example, in Elaine Pagel's case, I'm an evangelical Christian. And as both Pagels and Bruce Wexler point out, such groups carry shared beliefs, and these matter profoundly, both in how people view the world and how they act in it. And in the US and worldwide, large factions remain deeply entrenched in what's known as the pre-rational, sometimes also called the traditional or mythic stage or level of consciousness. Spiritual philosopher Ken Wilber lays out some of the larger costs of this mythic blinding. I've abridged his words and added the term pre-rational once for clarity. He writes, "The world's great religions are still the repositories of the magic and mythic elements of humanity. So that means they believe that Moses really did part the Red Sea, that Lao Tzu was 900 years old when he was born, and Jesus really was born of a biological virgin. And there's this huge gaping conflict between mythic and rational, which creates a pressure cooker around the world. If you look at terrorism, for example, Every one of the major religiously inspired terrorist acts of the last 30 or 40 years came from mythic beliefs, and they all basically say the same thing. The rational world won't make room for my pre-rational religion, and so they try to blow it up. As Wilber indicates, after the traditional or mythic level, the next developmental stage of consciousness is the rational or modern stage. Born from the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution, this is the prevailing view of mainstream culture in the so-called developed world, in business, academia, media, most professions, etc. And by and large, people at this rational stage look at the earlier pre-rational stage and want nothing to do with it. I know I don't. The modern stage is the same one that M. Scott Peck, the late American psychiatrist and best-selling author most famously of The Road Less Traveled, calls the skeptic or individual orientation to reality. Says Peck, people at this stage are usually scientific-minded, rational, moral, and humane. They tend to not only be skeptical of the spiritual, but rather uninterested in anything that cannot be proven. Pondering the detrimental consequences of pre-rational religions, the blinding that happens, such as Ken Wilber described, there are modern stage thinkers who insist the antidote is to reject all religious or spiritual belief. In different ways, these new atheists, writers like Richard Dawkins in The God Delusion or Michael Shermer in The Believing Brain, assert that science must be the only measure of a proposed truth. But what they don't seem to realize is that the literalist pre-rational stage is not the only mode of spiritual understanding, nor do they comprehend that the modern stage of consciousness is not the ultimate one, because beyond the modern is the postmodern. By the way, this isn't the ultimate stage either, but that's another topic. While there are many facets to this, part of the postmodern stage is a trans-rational level of spiritual development. Neither pre-rational nor rational, trans-rational, beyond rational. A level M. Scott Peck calls mystical communal. He writes that here, people are rational but do not make a fetish of rationalism. They feel deeply connected to an unseen order of things, although they cannot fully define it. They are comfortable with the mystery of the sacred. Now, there are some UUs, many of whom, like me, came to this faith largely to escape the far-fetched claims and exclusivism of pre-rational religion, who remain in the modern skeptic/individual stage, and who question that any unseen order exists in the universe or in our lives. But in contrast to more blinded or binded but blinded pre-rational communities, here they are allowed to freely voice that view. And here they sit side by side with others who are very comfortable with the mystery of the sacred and perhaps somewhat or even deeply familiar with an unseen order and are attuned to its synchronicitous signals and ready to lean into them. This delightful situation shouldn't be surprising, because both the modern and postmodern stages are named in the 6 sources that UUism's living tradition draws from. Living meaning not fixed, but ever evolving. The modern is the 5th source, which is humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science, and warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit. I love that in a religious community there is an explicit acknowledgement of the value of rationalism and the scientific method. And the secular humanism that this expresses is a vital corrective to the pre-rational stage. But UUism doesn't stop there, because our first source affirms the postmodern transrational or mystical communal stage by affirming, quote, direct experience of the transcending mystery and wonder, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. Unitarian Universalism's willingness to explicitly embrace and honor both these stages, both science and spirit, means our faith differs profoundly from pre-rational religious traditions and from rigid rationalism. And like all the scholars I've already mentioned, words from a reading by pioneering UU religious educator Sophia Lyon-Foss underscores that one's beliefs, including the religious narratives humans tell about ourselves and others, have very real effects on people's lives and the world. Some beliefs are divisive, separating saved from unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Recall that Elaine Pagel's story of leaving a separating saved from unsaved religious home came from a book entitled Beyond Belief. How would our world be enriched and ennobled if all people now moved beyond belief? That is, beyond the warring separatist dogmas and ancient animosities of pre-rational religions, and beyond the overall clannish level of consciousness, which also shows up in cultural and political battles, and into a big umbrella consciousness of world community that sees beauty in diversity rather than threat. In short, it would mean the world, that is, our very survival. For as our reading's final stanza proclaims, some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life. Among many other places, in intentionally integrating the modern rational and postmodern transrational stages of consciousness, this UU congregation, and many others just like it, is one place such pliable, life-giving saplings are nurtured. And at this time, when rigid body-of-death beliefs are frantically trying to compensate for their ultimate impotence by freezing a changing world in place, sometimes through hate and violence, this is no small thing. Being here in this kind of environment is no small thing. So if anyone asks you what you believe, if you choose to, like me, you could now say you're a transrationalist. And when they stare blankly at you, you can now explain this by simply contrasting the pre-rational, rational, and transrational stages, and then invite them to UUCPA to learn more. Yet for anyone who would really like to believe in something uniform and absolute, I recommend some wisdom from Benjamin Franklin, who stated his theological view plainly. Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Cheers and blessed be.
Difficult transition. As part of the Free Church tradition, we accept no money from any governmental body, nor do we receive money from any ecclesiastical authority, in order that we shall remain free to govern ourselves. In addition to their annual pledges, each week our members and friends may choose to give an additional contribution as a public witness that we are and shall remain a free church. With our offering, we also assert that we are part of the interdependent web of existence. 1 week per month, your gift goes to the community organization we have chosen as our justice partner. This week, your gift goes to California Interfaith Power and Light. You can use cash or check or the QR code or text info in the order of service. Please give generously to our justice partner. The offering will now be received.
Okay, so while we're ponying up, we're going to do an audience participation song. And this is a song that was originally written for children, but adults really like it. So it has a little chorus that goes, I am the only me, you are the only you. Try that much. I am the only me, you are the only you. And then the next line is almost the same. I am the only me, you are the only you. Here we go. I am the only me, you are the only you. Good. Now the hard part is that when you sing, I am the only me, you point to yourself. And when you sing, you are the only you, you point to somebody else. Okay? Choreography, you got it? So here we go. We're going to do the first chorus. Every time the chorus comes around, you get to sing along. Ready, sing. I am the only me, you are the only you. I am the only me, you are the only you. And the earth would miss you, if you were not here. And the sky would cry for you if you disappeared. Everyone has a purpose, something special to do. So take care of each other, please take care of you. Here we go. Yes, I am the only me, you are the only you. I am the only me, you are the only you. Think of what makes you happy, think of what makes you glad. Laughing and talking with your mom or dad or significant other. Do you know how they love you, whether you're first or you're last? 'Cause you're the hope of the future and the pride of the past. Yes, I am the only me, you are the only you. I am the only me, you are the only you. Do you like to go fishing or watch a show on TV, maybe PBS? Play a game of football, or maybe you like to read. I'm betting you do. You're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna drive a shiny new car or electric vehicle. Work hard for tomorrow and hitch a ride on a star. Last time, here we go. I am the only me, you are the only you. Point to someone else. I am the only me, you are the only you. And the earth would miss me, if I were not here. And the sky would cry for me if I disappeared. Everyone has a purpose, something special to do. So take care of each other, please take care of you. So take care of each other, please take care of you.
Thank you, Ruth. Now, please rise in body or spirit and join in singing Building a New Way, number 1017 in the Teal hymnal. The words are on screen and in the online order of service.
You all know this one. I'm going to play a slightly longer introduction than what's written in your hymnal. We are built a new way. We are built. We are. We are.
Our chalicing extinguishing words today come from none other than UUCPA's own Reverend Amy Zucker Morgenstern. When we take fire from our chalice, it does not become less, it becomes more. And so we extinguish our chalice, but we take its light and warmth with us, multiplying their power by all of our lives and sharing it with the world. Blessed be.
Beneath your name, behind your memories, beneath your wounds, and under your armor, beneath the robes you wear, in spite of the scars you bear, there's a beating heart, and it's filled with love. Look beneath the mask to see who we really are. Look beneath the mask to see who I am. Look beneath the mask, you'll see we are all one family. Look beneath the mask to see your soul, 'cause we are all holy. There are no enemies. We are all deeper than your tears. In between each breath you take, stronger than your fears, and way beyond tomorrow, sweeter than a lover's kiss, greater than your fondest wish. There's a shining light, and it glows with love. Look beneath the mask to see who you really are. Look beneath the mask to see who I am. Look beneath the mask, you'll see we are all one family. Look beneath the mask to see your soul, 'cause we are all holy. There are no enemies. We are all holy. There are no enemies. We are all. Look beneath the mask to see who you really are. You really are who you really are.
Whether online or here in the main hall, please stay after the benediction for our conversation time. We all begin with greeting time, a chance to speak with someone you haven't met before or haven't seen in a while. Now, if you're online, please unmute yourself, turn on your video, and touch hands virtually like this. While we say our benediction together. And if you're in the main hall or on the patio, reach out to hold hands if you and the person next to you are comfortable with that, or to show that you are connected in spirit, cross your hands over your heart. Go out into the world in peace. Be of good courage. Hold fast to what is good. Return no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Rejoice in beauty. Speak love with word and deed. Honor all beings.